Alright. Good, so this. Alright. Hopefully everything is working. I wanted to go over this because some videos, either the cops could be stupid assholes, or sometimes, or cops are not being lethal enough to offenders out there. It goes both ways. And I have a love-hate relationship for cops and stuff and everything else. And I wanted to go over a couple a bit, depending, late night stuff here. Going over different things. This one really yelled out to me, because of mental health, and cops can be very stupid in certain situations, and it's not really their fault. In some situations they're total idiots and they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, and other times you have great cops, there's good and bad and stuff like that. But I want to go to this cops rescue. And people have already done some videos on this. I get my own perspective through mental health, stuff that I've been through, and other people, mental illness and stuff like that. I get a perspective on. It's going to be a lot different from a lot of other people. This is a fair use, and I'm going over this as part of that fair use, mental health, psychological reasons, transformative, etc. Legal, this is from Police Insider, and I don't like some stuff that he puts on there because he's a shill for police and makes everybody look bad if they're not. But anyways, let's say it's just based. Anyways, let's take a look.
Down, but this drunk skunk shoved them back in and continued speeding erratically.
Be at 12:16.
Go ahead.
10:12 with her. What's going on?
No,
Come on, step back here.
Again, we're going to go over some of the mental health stuff. You can already tell by her face and stuff like that. She looks like she's a heavy drinker, been a heavy drinker. Probably been on lots of drugs too and everything. This, of course, 3 kids yelling for help from a moving car.
For me.
There you go. There you go.
Come over here.
Looks like it's in Florida.
Stay right here, ma'am. Ma'am, right here.
I'm not. I'm stopping.
What's going on?
I'm done.
I don't know. What's going on?
Okay.
Call for officer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 14. Have two more units. There's 3 kids in the car screaming.
Erratic. Totally
Ma'am,
erratic.
what's your name?
Body language.
Danny, go ahead.
Okay. What's going on?
Can you please call Craig?
Who's Craig?
My boyfriend. Will you call him to get them?
She expects him to know everybody that she knows. You can tell she has a mental illness and stuff like that. When they start, and I've had people come at me and stuff like that. I have my own problems as it is, but I've had people come at me doing crazy things to myself, especially where I live, and stuff like that. And actually, in some ways, she's kind of normal where I live, which is crazy, but that's the way it is. But these people that have these mental issues, mental illnesses, they expect you, they're either on a drug or drugs that is making them think this way. And it's crazy how they expect the cop to know her ex, her boyfriend, friend, or whatever. This is not just her, but other people too. She shouldn't have been on the road in the first place.
Okay.
Do you promise or no?
I don't know what's going on.
Then,
Come here.
Okay, what do you want to know? Like,
At 274 Echo, did you 26 that?
oh, it's hot.
All right. Well, here, put your sandal on.
We'll be in it
No,
around.
I'm not right here. No, they're not okay. They're not going to be okay. Please call Craig.
okay,
Please
all
call
right,
Craig.
all right.
No, they're not going to be okay.
All right. What's going on?
She's scaring her kids. She has no business doing that. She's scaring her own kids with her own freaking behavior. Someone like her should not have kids. That's
No,
right.
you're
Annie, come on over here.
You are not, like, you are not going to be okay. Like, stop. Stop, please.
Annie,
Yeah,
come over here,
no.
please.
No, you.
Come on over here so I can talk to
What's gonna
you.
happen?
He's trying to get her away from the kids because she's causing them stress, psychological stress and distress and everything else.
I don't even know what's going on. Come on over here.
You don't understand.
He's trying to get
I
her away
have kids.
from
Let me,
her.
here, say 10, 12
She's
with the
causing
kids.
this
Oh my
situation.
God, you're gonna fuck up my kids. You're gonna
No, I'm
fuck
not.
up my kids.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're gonna fuck up my kids.
What's going on?
Will you please call?
She said you're going to fuck up my kids. I think you've done a job doing that yourself. And it looks like you shouldn't have had kids. I mean, this is where birth control should happen. But
A number.
What's going on? Ma'am, what's going on?
Please call a number to come. I mean,
right away, what I would have done if I was a cop, I would immediately put her in cuffs. I would have let her do all that because she's not in control of her own emotions. She's not in control of anything, period. And from what this says, from a moving car, yelling for help and stuff like that, she's shoving it back, driving erratically, drunk and stuff like that. And he tried to contain her and have her just chill out.
turn off. You already got him. I can't even. Will you please? I'm begging you.
Yes, I had to figure out what's going on now.
Then figure out first when I call it.
No.
My kids are gonna freak out. They're gonna freak out. They're gonna freak out.
Ma'am, they
They're
already...
not gonna be.
They're already freaked out. You're freaking your kids out.
Bravo 96 Echo.
That's not what a parent does.
Drinks in the back of our car.
All right, just hang tight.
I would have immediately called for EMS, an ambulance. I would have checked if I had drinks or something like that. I'd be concerned. As a person that's done nursing, I've done some stuff like that. And me being sick all my life, you know a lot about medical. It's hot out there. She's how you can tell they're sweaty a lot. They're hot. I'd be worried about dehydration. I'd immediately want to get them fluids in water, at least some water or fruit drinks or something. Never give them beverages. That dehydrates. But that's the thing. I call for an ambulance right away for these kids. I would have had her in cuffs. I would have had them checked out by EMS and stuff like that.
Okay,
So,
sit right here. He's going to get you some water, okay? You want to go sit back and
No, I'm already gonna get admitted. Will you at least get my kids taken care of?
admit it into where?
I don't know.
she's talking about how she should be admitted to a hospital. She's like, she's saying right there, I need help. That's what she's saying. I mean, she should not have been driving in the first place and everything. And I think with police is that they need to learn more. I mean, it's a lot different from the old days, of course. I mean, the old days, they just hit you on the head. They put you in cuffs. They get you a beating and stuff or whatever. They'd be a lot more forceful. They say a lot of choice words and everything else. Back in my day. Didn't matter what color you are. But, look. It's like she's put out a cry for help as well.
Do you need help?
No, I don't. But
Yes,
it's
she does.
like what people do and men do to women in my position. They're gonna put it in.
She's talking
I
sex.
see. I knew it. Okay.
Her name's Annie, I guess. Figure out what's going on.
You can tell she's on a drug. She's incoherent. And she's talking about sex, what men do with women and use them and stuff like that.
She was speeding erratically with 3 screaming kids in the car, all while being so drunk she can't even string 2 whole sentences together. There's no way she's getting out of this easy.
These kids, they're gonna freak out.
I don't think she's
Please
trying
hold,
to.
I can hear.
They're over there.
I can hear.
Okay.
No, I'm.
Annie.
They're gonna freak out.
What's
Please,
your
get Craig.
Annie, what's your address?
What does it matter?
What's your address, Annie?
They're gonna.
Annie, what's your address?
No. Just throw me in jail. Throw me in prison.
Why would
God,
you do that?
She's intoxicated. She's drunk. She needs to go into jail, get detoxed or something. She knows she belongs in a place where she can't do drugs or alcohol. Unfortunately, there are ways of getting alcohol and drugs in jail, prison. For some, though, it's the best thing that happens to them. But where she should go is more of a rehabilitation place, forced rehabilitation, stuff like that. And probably she shouldn't have her kids. But she gets a lot better. This should never happen. She doesn't have real clothes on. She has a nightie on. That's all she has is a nightie. I was going to point this out earlier, but we're just going through everything. All she's doing is wearing a nightie. I mean, this is something you just wear to bed. It says she got drunk. She probably had a fight. I've seen this whole thing. She probably got into an argument with her man or something. And she said, fuck it, I'm taking my children. I'm drunk. Thanks for going on. I get drunk. We have, I thought you said this. I said this and stuff. I had an argument happening. He goes, fuck you. I'm taking the kids. We're out of here. She's drunk. She has no business being behind them. Well, let's go on. I just...
Just take care of my kids. Please
Wait,
take care of my
where?
kids. I don't even
Your kids
care.
are fine.
Take care of my kids.
Annie, what's your phone number?
Just get it now. Give me my phone number. I will give it.
All right, what's your phone number, Annie?
Yeah, Craig.
Yep,
No,
I have Craig's.
you don't.
I have Craig's phone number. You gave me Craig's phone number.
Yes, you contacted.
And like when I say in ignorance, and we're going to go over some of this other stuff here, is that these cops are doing a very good job, though I would have had her in cuffs. But they're being very patient, very nice, and everything else. They're just trying to get her information and everything like that. And so, I mean...
Not yet. Can you tell me what's going on?
No, not until you contact him.
Okay, well, I can't contact him unless
Well,
you
I'm
tell me
not
what's
going to
going
help
on.
you until you contact my...
She's in no position to make any demands. You're in no position to give them demands.
I can hear him screaming, my kid, and they need him. That's their dad. That's their dad. I can hear him. I can hear him. That's their dad. Get their dad.
Annie,
No.
your dad's not here.
Arrest him. Arrest me.
Annie.
Yep.
How she's begging them already. She wants them to control her already. She said from the get-go, if you go back, you go back. Or I know I to be committed and stuff like that. It's like she's asking, I need to be committed. I know where this is going to go. She already knew where this was going. And she doesn't care. She's just venting with this alcohol or other substances she's using. And she's just mouthing off. She's totally incoherent. Totally out of her element. And she knew.
Arrest me. No. Arrest me. Go. Do.
They don't know who the father is. It's not the Psychic Friends Network. They're not going to, oh, yes, this is Craig. We all know Craig. We know her people. We know her, yeah. I mean, We all know Addie here. Addie here. We all know her. How you doing today, Addie? What have you been drinking or smoking? Yeah, let's call Craig. We're here at Psychic Friends Network. Know what you need. Come
The
on.
way you have to do goes. And get their dad.
All right, you're being detained right now.
No, get their dad, please.
okay.
I'm begging
Calm
you.
down.
Put your hands behind your back.
I won't.
Yeah,
Until you
okay,
get their
but
dad.
listen,
They
you
will
gotta-
not.
You're
No,
being
no,
detained
no.
right now.
Listen.
They will. I don't care. I don't care what I'm being.
Annie,
That
Annie,
is their
listen.
dad. Please,
Annie.
Yeah, you are gonna help them. You are gonna help them, are you? No, of course not.
Eric,
So
stop
do
moving.
I've seen a lot of videos for cops know nothing about mental health. These are actually doing. I don't do this title justice in the video, but that's going for another video down the line from this one. Madness. Anyways, these guys are doing. I mean, back in the old days. Oh my God, she'd be a lot of pain. Things have changed a lot from the old
Move in
days.
so I can lock these handcuffs so they don't get tighter. All right, you don't want them to get tighter on you.
Of course not, because I
All right,
love
come on.
them.
Can you stop moving?
Of course. What do you want? Harder, softer, slower. Go. Find
Go
their
to
dad.
sex. You know?
I can't even hear him. I can't even hear him. Just arrest me.
I know it would have been, you know, even around here where I live, they get drunk or they get taking substances, stuff like that, smoking stuff. They go from going crazy to going to sex or whatever. They go flip back and forth and stuff like that. Yeah, she's totally flipped. Her kids are fine now that she's not healthy. Those poor kids. She's causing the problem. She's the root cause. And unfortunately, with parents, usually it transfers to their kids. And it traumatizes their kids, and then their own kids hate their parents down the line. I've seen multi-generational stuff.
Kids is
Arrest
fine.
me. No, they're not.
Okay.
They are not okay. They're
Okay,
They're
they
not
keep
with
talking.
you.
They're over there.
yeah,
Yes,
but
they
you
are.
don't.
Okay.
You don't
But we
know.
need to know what's going on.
Exactly. That's why I said call their dad, Craig.
Okay. But how
And you
can,
didn't call him. And you didn't call him.
okay, how can we call someone if we
Because
don't know
when I
what's
gave
going
him yours, I can't even.
on?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
do me a
who's
favor. Have a seat. Have a
No,
seat for me.
I called you that.
All right. Come on. Stand up. Stand up.
No,
She's just
if you
sweaty.
won't let me
Well, it's very
stand up
hot,
straight
very
with their
humid.
dad,
Okay.
then you won't let me down.
Okay, stand up.
Like, I with their
Stand up.
dad.
All right.
It's their dad. It's
Okay,
their dad.
that's fine. That's fine. All right. Let's go.
Right now, I can see her sweating. I'd be worried about her being dehydrated. I'd probably take some water, actually, and just pour some on her because it looks like she's dehydrated. With alcohol and substance abuse, it dehydrates you. You lose those fluids. You usually also forget to drink a good amount of water, especially alcohol will dehydrate you as well. It's not good for body. It's terrible. It's toxic to your body and everything. And so I'd be interested. I'd want to also give her some whatever drinks if possible to get those drugs out of her system. Even if she had to use the bathroom, I just have her go right there in the parking lot. Because you get that stuff out of the system, they get to be normal again. That's what I would try to do. They don't think about this. I do. Because I'm more of a medical person and I know about this stuff a lot more than they do.
No.
You put it in the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, no. No. They're gonna, no. They're gonna see it. They're gonna see it. No. They're gonna see it. I would rather fight
They
than them to
already
see it.
did.
No.
Annie,
No.
Annie.
I would rather them fight
Just
than
put it
them
on-
see
put it
it.
on that one.
No. No.
Annie,
No.
Annie,
I would rather.
Annie,
No. I'd rather them fight than see me get arrested. No. I didn't
You're not-
do it.
listen.
I'm the one that
How scale was cut?
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I haven't spoken to you yet. That's what we're gonna do.
That's
What we're gonna do. We're gonna
Again, the cops of old and the cops of today is a total 180. The cops of, oh man, they would have been more like assholes too. I mean, some would, some depends where, but I mean, it's like a total 180 of what was back in my day, which is a good thing for her in this situation and stuff. She really needs help. You know, I mean, she's in a freaking 90 for God's sakes. You know, you can tell she's.
Here's some tea. I'm gonna get you some water, and we're gonna figure it out. That's all we're gonna do.
No, you're
Okay?
not. You're gonna be a saint.
Okay.
You're gonna. No.
Annie,
No, you're gonna. No, you're gonna. No, you're gonna. No, I would rather die. Than go. No.
That's how you said earlier.
Go. You wanna go?
No.
Go.
Yeah,
No.
please don't.
No.
Please don't.
No! Please no!
You
Please
wanna fuck? The more she does this, I mean, I hope they. In some ways, I hope they. God, man, I hope she get a resisting arrest thing, but because this is what drugs do. I mean, she isn't like a violent offender yet. She isn't like one of these gang members or whatever. You know, real violent offenders. She's obviously, she's like either drunk on meth or something, whatever, or both. But how the hell did she get out of those damn cuffs?
Annie, don't bite. Don't bite. Don't bite. The right one. The right one.
No! You're not going to. You're gonna. Please. I will do whatever you want. Please don't get me. No, please don't do this to my kid. Please.
One of the bad parts is that this is viral. I see this on the internet. Different people have already talked about this. This has been on. This is only 7 hours. And several other content creators have already done their videos. She's going to be on the internet for life because of this.
Please don't do it again. No.
Her children.
No, please stop banging, you know?
I'm gonna sit you down in the AC. Sound good?
You can do whatever you want. If you tell me it's for my kids, please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
they can't see anything right now in the car.
Have a seat for it.
Please don't. Oh, fuck.
And the thing is also, what mental health illnesses does she have? Because this isn't just drugs, it's something other chemical balance in her brain. This speaking of me, I got my own problems as well. You know, I'm bipolar myself. But you just know. If you got those problems in your head, you know other people have it. And it's really sad. And you should not have kids like that. You need a person with a strong mental health, balanced mentality to bring up children. She has no business being with those kids.
She sure
It's
spent a
sad.
lot of energy on all that useless screaming and crying when she could have just chosen to cooperate and make
But you dumbass narrator, you don't understand. You don't understand. This is what I hate about this channel, is that they make every one of these people sound bad. Some are real bleep holes. Trash, okay? But this is different. She's not a violent offender. She's fucked up in the head. But there's a difference between the two categories here. Alright? She's mentally ill, she's drunk and stuff like that. That's going to happen to people. This is the reason why I don't drink or do drugs and stuff like that. It's ultra rare for me to have a drink. It's like once every decade, just about. And if I do anything, it's gonna be some marijuana or whatever. I haven't had that in years though. Though people said I should do more of it. They like that side of me, silly side. Anyways, but stupid narrator.
Things easier, at least for her children. Really makes you think where her priorities lie.
Our mom and dad are divorced, and we know that.
Stupid narrator doesn't understand. Some people don't have the mental capacity, don't have the understanding, the knowledge to even know anything about priorities. I think that she's been fucked up most of her life, if not all her life. She probably comes from some bad things from her family as well. I think this could be multi-generational. I could be wrong. But this goes way far back. And there are certain people you can judge and say they're just pieces of shit and trash. Her, she just doesn't have the know-how. She doesn't have the mental capacity, knowledge and stuff like that. And this is something people need to think about with some people, mental illness and stuff, is that, man, because I'm on mass transit stuff and everything, and that's crazy, where people want to kill each other and other stuff like that. And there's also a difference between people that are mentally ill and there are some people that are just violent people and stuff like that.
He always hangs out with friends, sometimes, a lot of times, but he can handle alcohol, and our mom can't. We told her about.
He can handle alcohol, but she can't. Now, if you love your kids, if you care anything about your kids, not taking care of kids before, you're not going to do all those drugs. You're not going to do all the alcohol. Your kids are going to turn out bad. They're going to respect you when they grow up. I know this from experience from other families that I've known. Where when the kids grow up, they hate their parents for being alcoholics and druggies. They never forgive them usually. It's very rare. And it's very sad, and you should. And Human and Health Services Department of Children.
We think it has alcohol in it.
Okay. Find him, please. I'm begging you. Please find him. He will find the person.
drunk.
Please find him. Please, you won't find him, will you? Just say no. Find him.
Let's see what she's doing with drugs.
I don't care anymore. I don't care.
We're gonna get you guys sitting in a car. We're gonna.
This is a problem with some people that I've known, that I've seen personally around where I am. They do their drugs, they drown themselves in drugs to get away from the bullshit in their lives. And it's the worst thing we all could ever do, is let drugs just kill us when you don't care about life anymore. You live off state or federal help, and all you do is drink or drug your life away because it's a shitty life and everything. And it's like, you know, these kids just need a good, solid, strong family. That's when, you know.
Now you can go sit in the car in the AC.
Yeah, let's get you guys sitting in the AC. We're gonna get you guys something.
I need that.
We're already out of our car.
We're gonna get you more than a bag of chips.
I'm
all
concerned
right?
about dehydration.
Baby, please help me. Will you help me? Like, no, you won't, will you?
I need lots of help. Lots of help.
No, you're not.
dude.
If you
Lots
would,
of
can
help.
you please help Craig?
What is
Craig is their dad, other than their ass. Like, the person that helps them the most is.
where's he at?
He's at. Can you help it? Ready?
Okay.
Are you gonna actually punch it? Like, I'm gonna cry. He's the person that's helped them the most, besides most and their dad. Their dad is a.
We are so happy you guys showed up. Cause I
Dad's a
don't.
fucking
You guys showed up. Cause I.
Besides most and their dad.
Okay, so besides helping them most, and their dad is a fucking asshole. Why are you asking them to get home from Craves? He's a fucking asshole. And you ran out because of probably something that happened between them. My guess, I don't know. That's usually how this happens. There's love, or where there's a fight. People get drunk, and your kids shouldn't have been with either of you. If you're drinking or doing drugs or whatever. Mental illness. It's a deadly combination. You just destroy lives. You're killing
Their
each other.
dad's a.
We are so happy you guys showed up. Cause
Why am I to call
you
Craig?
guys did. I didn't know what to do. We would have been stuck here all day and night.
It's not your responsibility.
And the only place that we can, and it looks like we tried. The only place that we can stay is like this.
You see, where they're being the grown-ups, the kids are acting like the grown-ups. That's not their responsibility. That's your mother's and father's responsibility. Family responsibility. You're a kid. You're supposed to be a kid. You're supposed to be having fun, doing schoolwork, or whatever. This is after school, I think. This is from 2022. What's the time? 11:09? Oh, okay. What day is it? But anyway, either at school or, you know, having the day off, picnicking or whatever, just having fun, family fun. And the kids are being the more adults about what they need to do, and they're taking stuff upon themselves. We try to do this, we try to do this. That's not your responsibility. That's your fucked up parents' responsibility. That's family responsibility. Your job right now is to be kids and to do good in school, to have fun. Be kids.
It's random like that. We don't even know what people there was. Oh, the police station. He took a picture of our license plate, and he was gonna send it to the cops. But then our mom drives away.
Listen, we know you're sweaty and got like your
Oh,
face
really?
like that.
It's okay. I'm
But-
not okay.
I know. That's why I got fire rescue coming.
I
But
pour some water.
No,
I
listen,
do some
listen,
water.
all they're gonna do.
that's to make sure you're okay. Because you're sweating a lot. We don't want to. We want to make sure you don't dehydrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
We're gonna help
she's
you.
dehydrated, she is.
What about grandma? Your grandparents around?
I mean, we're
Our
going to
mom's
send it to
dad,
a
our
hospital.
papa,
like
that's what we
that.
call him,
Yeah.
For kids, too.
is not feeling well.
Oh.
And then our grandma is sleeping because she works as a nurse. Is not feeling well.
Oh. What about grandma? Your grandparents around?
Our mom's dad, our papa, that's what we call him,
Yeah.
is not feeling well.
Oh.
And then our grandma is sleeping because she works as a nurse.
Okay.
She
works at night.
And looks like I only named her yesterday at night.
Okay.
And so she's sleeping today.
Okay. Are y'all twins?
Yeah, they're twins. I don't know much because the later playground I fell downstairs, I hit my head. Now I don't know much anymore.
Do you know Craig's last name?
What the
Yes,
fuck?
of course I do. And you won't find him now.
Where does he live?
She told Ova to like shut up. Yeah, a word. She didn't really. She never told us that before, and we got really scared. Just told her to pull over, and we would scream for help, and she's like, no, no, no.
So she wouldn't listen to you
Mommy was
guys.
scary that bad. It was not scarier than Cora.
Looks like the grandparents were trying it. They made the mistake, and it looks like grandmother. Looks like grandfather is sick. Not doing well. He's getting his last year's. Grandma is a nurse, probably registered nurse, something like that, at the hospital or nursing clinic, who knows. She's doing what she can. Probably the hospital, because that's 12-hour, 24-hour shifts. Since she's sleeping that much. That's what I'm thinking. Bloodiness. And the mama's not mama. She's like a baby. These kids seem more grown up than mama and papa are. I think they are actually more mentally together. And that their blood mama and papa, or whoever that papa is, Craig, they shouldn't be in the kid's life whatsoever. They are destroying these poor, beautiful kids' lives.
That we had before. It was
Okay,
a
so y'all been in a car
It was a
accident.
brown bag, and it was right here. I don't know where it went.
And she's being abusive to the kids, telling them to shut up or other stuff. And
Don't
But
touch
that's
anything up there, alright? Y'all stay back here.
EMS arrived on the scene to check out the female, while the officers tried to find her boyfriend and decided what to do with the kids.
Where you at right now? What city you right now?
Probably like
Blood
the
pressure,
Sicardi
yeah.
Largo, like like I don't know, Largo. And he was
You know what
supposed
day
to
it
find
is by
me.
chance?
Maybe Marlboro.
How many quarters make a dollar?
How many quarters?
How many quarters make a dollar?
4.
Okay. Who's our current president right now?
I can't even stop. Okay. So,
Who's our current
like,
president?
okay, Yarborough? That's not it.
Who's our current president?
It's the yellow guy who's.
he's doing that. It may sound stupid, but he's giving her a mental check. You see, drugs are doing to her intelligence, her train of thought, which could not. Looks like she's coming to a bit. It looks like she's waking up a bit. We'll see.
And I'm so good. Go ahead, take me in. That isn't yellow. That is a yellow Democrat. That is hates women and we're sucked. And we're gonna get sucked as women. God.
Alright, come on.
We're bringing our car seats.
Let's get out of here. I don't know if they'll fit in the police car because our seats aren't like that.
Really?
Yeah, our seats are like plastic.
They
So
sometimes.
let's leave them until they tell us to bring
They
them.
are hard.
If they tell us to
plastic.
bring them, then
I
we'll
mean, we're
Painful.
using not having water.
They have seatbelts, so I don't know if the.
I mean, we're using not having a car seat. Yeah, because the seatbelt stuck. One of our seats are locked in our dad's car.
Oh, wow.
And we sit with no seatbelt, and now we're used to it now.
Oh. Okay, so you know how to buckle your seatbelt by yourself?
Yeah, they know how to do it.
Get out
They
of
fight over the middle seat.
Annie, want to come out and talk to me for a little bit?
It depends
Depends on what.
on what you're trying to do to me.
We're gonna do field sobriety tests.
You don't have a choice, baby. You
Go ahead.
don't.
Go ahead,
You
what?
go to jail either way.
What does go ahead mean?
You get blood tested.
I see you're giving me your handcuffs. Go ahead and
me over. I just want my kids.
Well, that's
I'm
not
sorry.
that's not what I'm here to do.
I give my kids to my boyfriend. I'm so sorry. And I was just supposed to meet them, and it's not okay. And this is okay.
You should have been around your kids.
Let me explain something to you. By refusing to perform the field sobriety test, the only thing I have based my opinion on is whether or not I believe you to be impaired is what I observed so far. Secondly, should you be charged with DUI, the fact that you refused to perform the field sobriety test will be used against you in court. Do you understand those things?
Yes, go.
Okay, are you going to get out and do field sobriety test?
No, you can do it.
Okay. Refusal of field sobriety test.
All time.
Okay.
Let's do it all the time. Oh, she's at the jail. Right there. I see that.
The female refused to perform the field sobriety tests, and later at the sheriff's office, she even denied the breath test.
Annie! I have Pinellas County Sheriff's Office here to offer a breath test. Are you going to be cooperative and come out?
Nope. Not if it's sheriff's. Nope.
I already
Not
see.
the
I
sheriff's
told
office.
you.
Nope.
I told you.
Do what you gotta do. I'm ready.
So Annie, listen to what I got to say.
Nope, I don't care.
I am now requesting that you submit to a lawful test of your blood for the purpose of determining the alcohol content.
Nope.
And if you do it by force, baby, you don't get to say no. It's going to be painful. Those people scream. And let me tell you, those nurses don't know how to get blood a lot of the time.
And
They
the presence
don't.
of chemical and controlled substances.
Nope. Do it. Nope. Breath. No. Do it. Nope. Breath.
It does say blood.
Nope. Breath. Love. Nope. Don't. Yep. God.
Get the local vampire.
I say no to all
Gotta
of
suck
the
that blood
above.
out of
Are
him.
you going to
I'm
submit?
gonna say
Probably poison the
Breath
vampire,
me.
poor guy.
No.
but-
No.
If you fail to submit to
No.
the
That's
test, your
all it
privilege
is.
to operate motor
Yep.
vehicle will be suspended for a
already
period
is.
of 1 year.
It already is.
For the
God.
first refusal, or 18 months
Yeah.
if your privilege
Already
is
is.
previously
Yep. Already
suspended,
is.
or if you have been previously fined under
Yep.
Florida State Statute
It already is.
327.35215 for refusing to submit to a lawful test of your breath, urine, or blood.
Yep,
Refusal
good.
to submit to this test I have requested of you is admissible in evidence
Of course
in
it
any
is.
criminal proceeding.
Yes, you
If you currently hold a commercial
driver,
driver's license, that license privilege will be suspended for a period of 1 year.
She
In
never
the
had
case
one.
of the first refusal or permanently if you have
This is
been previously
wasting my
disqualified
time.
result
Yeah.
of a refusal.
Yeah.
Do you still refuse to take this test?
get
And
around.
your driving privilege will be
No,
suspended
you aren't
for
gonna
a
help me
period
so
of
that
at
I
least 2 years.
refuse. Go ahead. Here it is. I refuse. Go.
The female was charged with battery on law enforcement officer, 3 counts of child abuse without great bodily harm, DUI, refusal to submit to breath test, and driver's license violation. YouTube
being an
thinks you'll
idiot.
love the video on screen. Click to watch now.
Now that is a
Oh my God, sirs. Oh my God, sirs. Oh my God, that is fucking crazy, man. I mean, the moral of the story is that she had no business with those kids.
Did you try?
This isn't over from 90s or 1992. This shows how terrible cops could get back then. But I just gotta say, that late, I mean, some of that battery stuff, I hope that some of that stuff gets dropped because that's drugs. I don't think people usually drugs deserve that unless if you're a violent offender, like a gang member or just a thug off the street or something, you know, that's different. Like I said, there's different categories of people and stuff, and people on drugs don't know what the F they're doing usually. They don't. And that lady, she needed jail. She needs it. And some people, jail or prison is their savior. You know, I've had people say that. A lot of people have said that. So, but she had no business being around those kids. That is abuse. And a lot of people, I think, unfortunately, just gonna make fun of her and stuff like that, and everything, and got the about the kids and all this stuff, because and the mental health, and most people don't understand the mental health part like I do, which is why I wanted to do it. Here it is. Here, this is from Mysterious 7. Shout out. I did give some of my psychoanalysis, which is scary enough for anybody. I think that's scary for anybody, but it's gonna make it fun, right? Leave a comment, leave a like. Mysterious 7. Shout out. Give a like. This is gonna get interesting. It's going to get interesting. Give it a shout out. And everything fair use. And everything, give it a shout out. And everything legal. Putting in my own stuff as well to this. So. Not my content, theirs. Legal again. I need a lawyer.
The man you see on your screen is Haddon Clark, a deeply disturbed predator who became the prime suspect in the murder of 23-year-old Laura Houtling.
Then how you ate Laura, cut her up in little pieces until she bled. You tasted the blood, and that tasted good, and you couldn't stop, and you had some more blood, you had some more body parts.
Viewer discretion, listen. I thought it was hardcore media. This is hardcore stuff. This is not softcore stuff. No matter what the ladies on my OnlyFans say. And again, if people want to make fun of me, that's going to cost, okay? Let's keep this hardcore.
As they pressed this cannibal killer for answers, the interrogation spiraled into chaos, uncovering secrets so chilling that even the most seasoned cops lost their control.
Let's get back to the nitty-gritty. Come on. Hey, come on, let's get it out, buddy. Let's get it out. Come on. Come on.
Those cops, back in the day, this is what they did back in the day. These are cops I remember. It didn't matter if you were black or white. I've been through this myself. I should know. I've been through some of this. So, let me tell you, it's a lot different nowadays. A lot of people say cops are pussies nowadays, and stuff like that. But what they're doing here is totally wrong, and this is how you get a case thrown out and everything. But they should never had the shield. They should never had the badge to begin with, because they don't have the mentality. They don't have the brain capacity. They're just like two stupid bullies off the street. It's like they're watching NYPD Blue. They're watching NYPD Blue and stuff like that, or Miami Vice or something like that. They're going to Italiano or something, and they're getting the mozzarella, and they're getting the linguine, and everything else, the cheese and everything else, and the parcheesi, and everything else.
Okay, let's get it out. There's somebody in there that wants to come out. Please come out. I will show you. You understand?
That's so good too.
On Monday morning, October 19th, 1992, the day started uneventfully at Holman Communications, a public relations firm in Washington, D.C. That was until Laura Houtling failed to arrive at work by 9 a.m. This was entirely out of character. By 11 o'clock, her boss, Diana Holman, began to worry. Concerned, she called her daughter Hillary, who was a close friend of Laura, to ask if she had any idea where Laura might be. But Hillary was just as clueless. Acting on her concern, Hillary...
Another reason why I want to go this is also, like I said, psychological stuff of how he owns these cops. He totally owns these cops. This is how cops do not do.
He drove to Laura's home, a house she shared with her mother, Penny Houtling. Laura's car was parked in the driveway, but nobody answered the door when Hillary knocked. Hillary knew that Penny had left town for a week-long conference on Saturday, October 17th, leaving Laura alone at home. Unsure of what else to do, Hillary reached out to the next best person, Laura's brother, Warren Houtling. She left a message on his answering machine. After Warren returned home from work, he received the message. When he did, a sense of anxiety began to set in.
Warren Houtling was Laura's brother, and they were incredibly close.
He went by the house. Laura's car was there, and he went in the house. Everything looked fine, but nothing disturbed. Apparently the house was secure.
Warren searched the house thoroughly, but found nothing else out of place. By 6 p.m., anxiety...
Now, I already watched this, which a lot of times I usually don't. But I remember when I was going through this. How come her brother did not see the blood on the bed of her bed? He said he saw no signs of wrongdoing or stuff that happened. But yet stuff had happened on that bed, there's blood on that bed and everything else. That did not make sense to me, but
he had set in. Warren called all of Laura's friends and relatives, but none had heard from her that day. The last time he had seen his sister was on the afternoon of Sunday, October 18th, and she seemed in good spirits. Worried that something had happened to Laura outside, Warren scoured the area for hours but found nothing. Finally, after midnight, he called the Bethesda police. Officer David Shupp responded to the call and came to the house to inspect the premises. While he found nothing suspicious, he reassured Warren that the vast majority of missing persons turn up safe within a short time. But Laura's case would be tragically different. The next morning, Warren called Penny at her conference to share the news. She immediately decided to fly home, though she wasn't particularly alarmed, yet.
Penny didn't want to believe that anything had happened to her daughter, and thought it would not be unusual for her to just hook up with some rich guy and take off to the island somewhere. I'm sure she's fine. You know, she's run off with some friends. She's just being a little spoiled brat and not telling us.
Tension was mounting among Laura's friends and family. What made the situation even more puzzling was that there was no apparent reason for Laura to have left on her own. The only explanation that made sense was that something sinister had happened to her.
Nobody had heard from Laura, and this was just totally out of character for her. We checked her bank account, credit cards, checking account. There was nothing there where she had withdrawn money that she would have needed to survive somewhere.
By Wednesday, October 21st, the police conducted a search of the nearby woods, but they found no traces of Laura. In an effort to spread the word even further, they contacted a local television station, hoping that broadcasting her disappearance would prompt someone to come forward with crucial information.
If you know anything about the disappearance of Laura Bettis Houtling, please call Montgomery County Police. She is 6 feet tall, 145 pounds, with brown...
6 fucking feet tall. When I first saw it, 6 feet, like, what the fuck? 6 feet? Damn. Usually that's not how a killer targets, if that's true. Usually killers do not go after someone that tall. But 145 pounds at 6 feet? Very thin girl. I want to go back here. Let's look at her height. Opposed to others. Here. She doesn't look 6 feet. Doesn't show the other person. I don't want to see his face. Yeah, so 6 feet. I wonder if that's just an error.
Checked her bank account, credit cards, checking account. There was nothing there where she had withdrawn money that she would have needed to survive somewhere.
By Wednesday, October 21st, the police conducted a search of the nearby woods, but they found no traces of Laura. In an effort to spread the word even further, they contacted a local television station, hoping that broadcasting her disappearance would prompt someone to come forward with crucial information.
If you know anything about the disappearance of Laura Bettis Hodling, please call Montgomery County Police. He is 6 feet tall, 145 pounds, with brown eyes and
These woods. When I got here, asked them how they were doing. They told me that they found some women's shoes, some women's clothing, and that he found also a pillowcase. They believe that it had been here a long time because it had stains on it, probably from leaves. You've found things in the woods and they have these stains on them. And as the leaves deteriorate, I said, really? Let me see the pillowcase. As soon as he showed it to me, I knew it was not stained by leaves. That staining was blood.
The pattern on the pillowcases was identical to the one found on Laura's bed. Additionally, the blood type discovered on the pillowcase matched Laura's. What had started as a missing persons case now took a darker turn, as police feared the worst. Laura's bedroom was now considered a crime scene. Forensic experts were called in to examine the area. Meanwhile, Laura's mother pointed out that the bed was missing both the mattress pad and the bottom sheet, which seemed odd.
When she saw her brother didn't notice that, didn't he look? I don't know. If I was a family member, I'd be looking everywhere. And I'd look for blood. I'd look for things that are damaged, anything out of place, right there, right here, everything, and I don't know. I'd be looking for a crime scene. Anything.
When the forensic team tested the mattress with luminol, they made a horrifying discovery, one that would change the course of the investigation entirely.
Luminol stuff is when you turn the light off, you have that fluorescent light, and then you can see blood spatter and everything else. That's what it is.
It was covered with blood, and you could see where his hand was pulled off the bed.
You knew that this girl's dead.
The amount of blood found on Laura's bed led detectives to believe with near certainty that she had been killed in that room, turning the case into a homicide investigation. They thoroughly examined the entire room, taking Laura's belongings for further analysis and testing. As the news of Laura's potential death spread, her friends and family were devastated. Yet detectives knew they needed to ask the difficult question: who could have killed Laura, and who had a motive to harm her? Initially, no one seemed to have an answer. However, Warren, Laura's brother, soon dropped a strange detail that would change everything.
And the first night that Laura was missing, Warren looks and here comes his truck. His mom's gardener. He happened to be driving by and Warren attempted to stop him, to talk to him. But instead of stopping, the gardener drove off fast. He couldn't understand why he would do that. That seemed very unusual.
When Warren later asked the gardener about the bizarre encounter, the man claimed he hadn't stopped because he was afraid of a carjacking. However, the detectives were not convinced by his explanation. The gardener in question, 40-year-old Haddon Clark, had both the means and the opportunity to commit the crime. Penny had hired Haddon in early 1992, believing she was doing a good deed by helping a homeless man from a local church organization. He had proved to be a reliable worker, eventually becoming quite attached to her, almost as if she were a mother figure. Penny trusted him so much that she even gave him a key to the house. Despite her complete faith in him, Penny had always known that Haddon was a deeply troubled man.
She went into more detail about how odd he was. She would give him tasks to do in the backyard, such as digging.
So why the frag would you give him a fucking key? Oh, he's odd. That's okay. he's got some issues, but here's my key. Come on in. Listen, so he's odd, as you say. If somebody's off like that, please, people, do yourself a favor. Don't even think of giving them your key, or just go inside the house like that. don't. Just don't. You'll thank me.
In a flower bed, and he would dig and dig and dig, didn't know when to stop.
However, the more disturbing detail was yet to come. Penny revealed that just days before Laura's disappearance, on October 12, 1992, they had a heated argument. Penny accused Haddon of stealing some tools from her backyard shed and yelled at him. This was enough for the detectives to start seeing Haddon Clark in a new light, but when they went to speak with him, their eyebrows were raised even further.
Laura is missing, and Penny is really concerned, and we need your help to try to find her. It was at that point Haddon goes, "Oh my God, I just want to die," and he went down on one knee.
Although Haddon provided an alibi for the time when Laura went missing, the Bethesda police were not convinced of his story. With growing suspicion, they obtained a warrant to search his vehicle, and the search soon uncovered some compelling clues. On October 26, 1992, officers conducted a search of Haddon Clark's truck. During the search, they seized several items, including bedding, hair samples, and personal documents, such as a checkbook register, receipts, and an expense log.
It would have the date and the time when he would buy $10 worth of gas, and then when he would buy $4 worth of power bars. He kept track of every dime that he spent.
Digging into Haddon's financial records, detectives discovered that he had purchased duct tape, braided ropes, and nylon cords several days before Laura's disappearance. As if this wasn't alarming enough, the next revelation would send chills down their spines. Haddon had paid for those items with a personal check, and the memo section contained just one word: Laura. Further investigation into his checkbook revealed a troubling entry. Haddon had paid to rent a storage unit in Warwick, Rhode Island, 450 miles away from the scene. The records showed that he had been at the storage unit on the morning of October 21st, just 2 days after Laura had vanished. Armed with a search warrant, detectives went to investigate the unit. What they found would expose a secret side of Haddon Clark's life, a side that revealed the depths of his deranged and disturbing mind.
He had falsies that he would place into bras. Apparently he had bras, he had dresses, he had female shoes, he had female coats, he had wigs, everything that he could wear and look like a female.
This new development forced detectives to reconsider everything about the case. They now had to entertain the possibility that the witness who had seen Laura on the morning of October 19th might not have seen Laura at all. It could have been Haddon Clark, disguised as a woman with a blonde wig, attempting to mislead the investigation. However, the detectives still lacked solid evidence that directly connected him to Laura's disappearance and death. As they continued to meticulously build their case,
he has the figure to look like a female. I think that's all.
A major breakthrough occurred. Forensic experts had been analyzing a hairbrush found in Laura's room and discovered 30 hairs, each belonging to Laura, except for one. This singular hair was shockingly not from any person. It was a synthetic strand commonly used in wigs. As it turned out, the discovery of a blonde wig in Haddon's storage unit was no coincidence. In fact, the wig was an exact match to the synthetic hair found on the brush. To further solidify their suspicions, forensic experts uncovered a partial bloody fingerprint on a pillowcase, matching none other than Haddon Clark's. With this new evidence, detectives finally had enough to arrest Haddon, but they still faced a major roadblock. They didn't know the whereabouts of Laura's body, which they needed to prove in court that a murder had even occurred. So, on November 6, 1992, they brought Haddon in for interrogation.
We're going to see it. We're going to see how he controls them and stuff like that. These thugs, these cops are not cops. They become thugs, really.
Hoping to extract a confession.
This is how you're not supposed to have a shield, how you're not supposed to have one. This is how you don't do it.
Little did they know they were dealing with a psychopath who would not budge so easily.
While the detectives were outside watching and monitoring and recording this.
Ask me what you want to know and I'll tell you.
I want to see my lawyer.
Has Penny been helping you?
I want to see my lawyer.
Okay.
I want to see my lawyer.
You're going to see your lawyer.
I want to see my lawyer.
Do you want to stand up and stretch your legs for a second?
I'm a lawyer.
You see, right then, as soon as you say that, they're supposed to go out and say, okay, and they're supposed to leave. At least nowadays they are. You see, back when cops could get away with harassing you and subjugating you to hours and hours on end, whether good or bad, it depends on the case and the situation. Some people, you want to see them terrorized. You want to see them go through hell. Other instances, it's not going to help the case. Is it going to do you any good? And if anything, it's where they're going into his trap. One that he doesn't know, but let's just say that it turned these cops into lunatics, loonies, I should say. They totally went loony.
Do you consider Penny your friend, Pat? Let me ask you something.
Do you like men or women? Is God talking to you?
God's talking to me.
Wow. I bet he's telling you that you need to help yourself.
He told me to see my lawyer.
Do you consider Penny your friend? Were you sexually involved with her? Did you Penny? Did you her and she rejected you? And you got angry, so you took it out on Laura?
Hadden, help me. Talk to me about Laura. Hadden, what can you tell me about Laura? Do you think she's pretty?
Troll.
Did she do something to make you angry?
They do not get those ladies and these male cops. They do not get how they totally got fucked over. They don't have the intelligence to understand that they got into a trap. And that they're...
She hurt your feelings?
Oh, God. This is from like a psychology thing. I mean, if you do criminal psychology, if you do psychology, this is a video you have to watch. And see how this guy totally flips things on them. And so and they go crazy instead. And they act like the lunatics, they belong to a loony bin or something.
Patton, do you have a thing for pillows?
Even under intense questioning, Hadden repeatedly demanded his lawyer, but detectives ignored his requests. While it's within the legal rights of any suspect, the detectives knew they were taking a huge risk, especially since anything incriminating Hadden said couldn't be used in court. Still, they were willing to gamble with their careers, hoping for any clue that could lead them to Laura's body. However, Hadden made it clear that he wouldn't cooperate, and now he was simply getting on their nerves.
Hadden?
Look, see?
Sitting in there with him and watching his behavior, I expected his head to spin around. Instead,
it was your heads that was spinning. You became like little children that weren't getting your way, and you guys just acted like chimpanzees.
Oh my God, is he like possessed? Like, why isn't he talking? What's he thinking? He was just creepy. He was not anyone that you'd want to be in a room with alone.
Why'd you let him do that? He said he wanted to see a lawyer. You're supposed to end it. This is your fault. You fell into the trap. You fell into the trap. A psychology trap. And he wasn't doing it on purpose. It wasn't really a trap. It's just you don't have the intelligence, the brain capacity to be a real cop even, or investigator. The ladies and the guys are doing this. You guys are mentally unstable. You're not professionals. You shouldn't have the job. You should have had your badges taken away and everything. You violated his constitutional rights. Instead, you guys acted like thugs in a way. Some of your questions, understandable. You have to ask some of them.
On the outside world.
While the detectives in the interrogation room were desperately trying to break Hadden Clark, another teen was digging into his past, trying to
Instead, he
uncover
broke
more
down.
about the man they were dealing with.
Look at them. She's on her knees for him to get his attention. He has all the power. When they're on their knees and they have to go and touch him and look at all that attention, he has all the power there. He has the power. They got nothing. So, let me go here.
Another teen was digging into his past,
He
trying to
broke down.
uncover more about the man they were dealing with. What they discovered about his history would soon make everything they had learned so far seem like mere child's play. Haddon Clark was the second of 4 children, and from a young age he exhibited troubling behavior. He showed no compassion for others, even for his own family.
Look at his eyes. Look at these eyes. Wide open, his face. His smile looks like he's in another dimension, another zone. He's in a totally different reality. He just has that look. It's like something flipped his switch.
To make matters worse, he had a disturbing hobby of killing and dissecting animals.
Things were wrong with Haddon from the start. There were mental things that were not right. Haddon spent a lot of time in different specialized...
Well, his brother also killed somebody, as well as we're to find out later. So there's a lot of crazy shit that happened with the family.
schools to try to deal with the other matters that caused him to be antisocial.
In 1985, Haddon was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. With no place to live, his younger brother, Jeffrey Clark, offered to help by inviting him to stay with him in Silver Spring, Maryland. This would mark the beginning of a very dark chapter in Haddon's life, one that would eventually bring him to the radar of the police for the first time. By May of 1986, Jeffrey had grown fed up with Haddon's unsettling behavior. The final straw came when Haddon was caught engaging in illicit activities in front of Jeffrey's children. Disgusted, Jeffrey asked Haddon to move out immediately. On May 31st, 1986, as Haddon packed up to leave, Jeffrey decided to take his wife and children out for the day, giving Haddon some space to move. Little did anyone know, this brief absence would unknowingly pave the way for the destruction of another family. One of Jeffrey's neighbors, 6-year-old Michelle Dorr, who was also the friend of his daughter Elizabeth, was going through a difficult time. Her parents, Dorothy and Carl, were in the midst of a bitter and messy divorce. That weekend, Michelle was staying with her father, unaware of the tragedy that was about to unfold.
On Memorial Day weekend in 1986, Michelle's mother, Dorothy, had made plans to travel to Virginia Beach, visit her family. I had physical custody of Michelle. I thought we would just have a nice leisurely May 31st. I would do whatever Michelle wanted that day. My time was her time.
It was a scorching hot day, and Carl Dorr did his best to make it enjoyable for Michelle. Around noon, he filled a plastic swimming pool in their backyard, where Michelle happily splashed around. Carl watched her play for a while, before heading indoors to catch a bit of television. At some point, Carl dozed off on the couch. When he woke up, it was already late in the afternoon. He quickly checked the time, realizing it was past 5:45 p.m. He went outside to call for her, but was struck by panic when she was nowhere to be seen. In desperation, Carl walked to his neighbor Jeffrey Clark's house 2 doors down, hoping Michelle might have gone to visit her friend Elizabeth. To his horror, Jeffrey informed him that they hadn't seen Michelle either.
And he said, no, she's not here. And I looked at Elizabeth, and she's not with you. And I couldn't believe what Jeff was saying. And it just didn't register at first, that she couldn't be with Elizabeth. And at that point, I realized that, she's never gone any further than the Clark house, that there's something's wrong.
A frantic Carl combed the neighborhood, calling out for Michelle and searching every corner he could think of, but there was no sign of her anywhere. Desperate, he finally called the police for help. The investigation into Michelle Dorr's mysterious disappearance began immediately. Over the next 48 hours, Maryland police launched an all-out search effort, but no trace of Michelle was found. As the hours stretched into days with no trace of Michelle, the community began to brace for the worst. In their hunt for answers, detectives interviewed local residents. Among them was Haddon Clark, who had a growing reputation as the neighborhood oddball. Many residents already viewed Haddon with suspicion due to his erratic behavior. That suspicion only deepened when a seemingly routine interrogation with Haddon Clark took an unexpected and dramatic turn.
They were questioning him about Michelle Dorr, and that's when he became very annoyed and irritated. He had an episode of diarrhea. He made a statement that he might have done something that he doesn't remember.
Despite the apparent red flags surrounding Haddon Clark, he appeared to have an airtight alibi.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that alibi came from someone least expected, Michelle's own father, Carl Dorr. Carl stated that he had last seen Michelle at around 2:10 p.m. on the day she went missing. When detectives investigated further, they discovered that Haddon had punched in his time card at the Chevy Chase Country Club at 2:46 p.m. that same afternoon. This timeline left detectives skeptical that Haddon could have abducted Michelle, concealed any evidence of a crime, and made it to work on time. Combined with a lack of concrete evidence to hold him, they had no choice but to let him go. As the investigation progressed, suspicion shifted to someone much closer to Michelle, her father, Carl. When Michelle's mother, Dorothy, learned of her disappearance, she told police that she believed Carl was responsible. Dorothy revealed that she and Carl were in the...
This is the sick part, very sick part of divorce. How, where before they'd be totally in love, then later on they want to kill each other instead. And say stuff like that.
In the midst of a bitter custody battle, and accused him of previously threatening to harm Michelle if he didn't get his way. With this new information, detectives asked Carl to take a polygraph test, hoping to clarify his involvement. To their shock, Carl failed the test, raising even more questions about his role in Michelle's disappearance.
He's trying to tell me that I didn't pass the polygraph test. That's an impossibility. I didn't have anything to do with Michelle disappearing. Don't tell me I failed the polygraph test. That didn't happen.
Convinced that Carl had either kidnapped or killed his daughter,
Though his story is going to go much deeper as to why he failed that test. People should always, polygraph tests are not 100%. Federal does not take those because sometimes they can be falsified. People can fake them and stuff like that. And people with under duress or whatever could give false flags, false positives, stuff like that, negatives. So just because somebody doesn't pass a polygraph doesn't mean that they're
detectives
guilty.
pressured him for a confession. Just days later, Carl did confess, admitting to having a role in Michelle's disappearance. He also provided 2 potential locations where Michelle's remains could be found, one being the crawl space of his house and the other inside his father's grave. Police searched both places thoroughly, but they found nothing. The case was becoming more perplexing, leaving detectives wondering about the true fate of Michelle.
I couldn't deal with what they were telling me, that we're not going to find Michelle alive. I just was trying.
So he said he did because he mentally, and this happens with people, that mentally they cannot handle psychologically all the questions of law enforcement asking questions, and people will just admit to the crime without ever doing it. This actually happens sometimes. And so, I mean, some people are put in prison for, stuff they did commit. This is something that's not reported, of course, on news, but it happens a lot more than people think. It's just that they'd rather just say, I'm guilty, I don't want to take any more of your questions, I can't take it, it's too stressful. Got a breakdown. It was breakdown, and they just want to move on and just say that they're guilty.
Trying to go into some sort of denial about that.
I thought the police were talking about me or something odd, and it's just a total disintegration of my mental health.
Eventually, Carl checked himself into a mental institution for a few days of rest and treatment. After his release, he shocked the public by claiming that he never confessed to Michelle's murder and that the police had misinterpreted his words as an admission of guilt. He also revealed a new perspective on the events of May 31st, stating that he hadn't seen Michelle at around 2:10 p.m. as he had previously stated, but rather much earlier that day. However, he admitted that he didn't want to come across as an irresponsible parent who hadn't kept track of his child for hours. To back up his story, he took another polygraph test, and this time he passed. The investigation was now back at square one.
But tonight, the physical search for 6-year-old Michelle Dorr is ended. Michelle's father is no longer under psychiatric evaluation. What do you hope for?
I hope that somebody has her that hasn't harmed her. That's what I hope.
Do you still feel that you'll see her someday?
I hope to God, yes.
With the new timeline established, Haddon Clark once again emerged as a possible suspect in Michelle's case.
I think that's why she left him and got sick of him. The father. I think that's why she wanted to divorce him. I think that's why. Is that there's not enough of a man for her. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe other things came up. I don't know. I just get this feeling that from this that maybe he was too soft of a man. And maybe mentally she felt that, somebody's too soft, can't help things mentally. Who knows?
But detectives had no solid evidence to charge him. Days, months, and then years passed, and Michelle's case remained unsolved, with her loved ones still mourning her disappearance. Meanwhile, Haddon continued with his life, but seemed to be drawn to trouble. In September of 1988, Haddon harassed his mother after she confronted him for stealing items from...
Look at those eyes that are wide-eyed open, man. Look at that. The face, that huge smile, this stuff just... Sometimes you can tell things about people. I'm not just saying that. There's some people that say, oh, that guy or that one looks crazy. And they don't look crazy whatsoever. But it looks like he's in a totally different place. It just does. She has more of the normal face. Like, she's just, like, say, hi, take a camera. She's like here is like, it's like, It's like a sinister motive, sinister thoughts going through his head. I don't like to be like that. I don't, because there are too many people to say about people that don't know what they're talking about.
From her home in Rhode Island. He was charged with assault and battery and given a year's probation. A few months later, in December 1988, Haddon was evicted by his landlord. In retaliation, he set booby traps in the home, leading to charges of property destruction, though he avoided jail time. In February 1989,
That's the way you get back at somebody who kicks you out of the house. Leave booby traps and mines in there.
He was caught stealing purses and coats from a church while dressed as a woman. This time, he pleaded guilty to theft and served 45 days in jail. Days, months, and then years passed, and Michelle's case remained unsolved, with her loved ones still mourning her disappearance. Meanwhile, Haddon continued with his life, but seemed to be drawn to trouble. In September of 1988, Haddon harassed his mother after she confronted him for stealing items from her home in Rhode Island. He was charged with assault and battery and given a year's probation. A few months later, in December 1988, Haddon was evicted by his landlord. In retaliation, he set booby traps in the home, leading to charges of property destruction, though he avoided jail time. In February 1980,
now these days, so to do that, you get that for terrorism. But it's sort of bullshit, but sort of right. I mean, there's two sides to that, but that's the difference the way it was back then. Where it's like, back then, in the older days, it was just written off as some stupid joke, nothing big. Nowadays, you'd be labeled as a terrorist.
89. He was caught stealing purses and coats from a church while dressed as a woman. This time, he pleaded guilty to theft and served 45 days in jail. For the next 3 years, Haddon mostly kept a low profile, working menial jobs for survival and frequently changing landlords. However, in 1992, his life took a turn when Penny Houtling hired him as a gardener, unknowingly setting the stage for a series of events that would eventually lead him to this interrogation room, accused of one of the most heinous crimes imaginable. All this information was hard for the detectives to digest, but it also allowed them to take a...
Look at that. He totally owns those girls. He owns them. Look at the psychology. And yet he's not even trying. He's not even trying. Look at the psychology.
Different approach. Haddon's interrogation would go down as one of the most bizarre in criminal history, peeling back the deepest layers of a sickening mind, while also pushing the boundaries of interrogation tactics. It showed...
It doesn't push the boundaries, they cross the line. This is what I don't like about some of these shows for law enforcement, is that they'll blame it on the person when they don't deserve it. And this is where the cops cross the line. Like I keep saying, as soon as the person, as you say, I want a lawyer, they're supposed to back off, let you go. But this is a different time period. Everything wasn't recorded, and you could get away with doing stuff like
just how far the detectives were willing to go to get their man and uncover the truth.
And they handed me a teddy bear.
Or woman.
And this teddy bear had on a bathing suit that was a replica of what Michelle Dorr had on. And they said, take it in there. Do not let him touch it. But I want you to hold it in your lap, and I want you to make the little arms move, and I want to see what his reaction is. His eyes got huge, and he just smiled from ear to ear.
Well, gee, I wonder why you're being pathetic. It's like, you guys are nothing but a joke right now.
And just smirked.
That's what he's thinking.
Despite Haddon's strange and unnerving reactions, he remained silent and offered no mention of Michelle during the interrogation. The detectives, undeterred, rotated in and out of the room, each adopting different personas in an effort to break Haddon emotionally. They pushed further, trying to provoke a reaction by confronting him directly with his disturbing desires, wanting to taste blood and flesh.
Do you want to cry? Want to get the tears out?
Cry for what?
For what you did to Laura. Don't hate that. Don't eat scabs. It'll make you sick. Is that how you ate Laura? Cut her up in little pieces until she bled. You tasted the blood, and that tasted good, and you couldn't stop, and you had...
These guys are idiots, in my opinion. Okay, I think these guys are just idiots. They don't know how to do this. There is a way that you inject violence in the blood and stuff like this into interrogation. The way that they're doing it right now is that they have lost all reason, all sanity. They throw that out the window, and they're just like ad lib. Just don't take the term wrong way. Toss salad, but not in that term.
Had some more blood.
Don't take the wrong.
You had some more body parts. Is that what you did to her? That means yes. You didn't say no.
You got a major problem.
This is another thing. They're putting words into his mouth. That's another crossing the line when doing interrogation, and how evidence like this gets thrown out of court. Because they are feeding him answers. And any judge that's not corrupt is going to say, you can't do that. That's a forced confession. Let's go into this further. There's a reason why I'm doing this.
Eating all kinds of it. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer's did. What did Jeffrey get? Why? Did you get like the crime was just
This is their audio, not mine. I have to put that disclaimer out there. Not my audio. This is theirs. This is way back from the early 90s, so these aren't 4K or whatever, digital. It's not even digital. This is analog.
dead people in his apartment. And he had cut their hearts and livers out and put them in the freezer and frozen. Jeffrey Dahmer was kind of a big deal. He told her, I don't know whether you ate him, but you might have eaten some. Did you try any much? Eat flesh? Eat people?
Haddon remained silent, prompting the detectives to shift tactics. They brought up other infamous cannibal killers and how their actions ultimately led to their downfall, hoping to provoke some kind of reaction from him. When that didn't work, they moved on to discussing his sexuality and preferences, trying to find that one thing.
I have to be honest, if those cops would do that, I'd be, it doesn't matter if I get felonies. If a cop does that, it doesn't matter, law enforcement, I don't care who you are, I'd be starting jabs, I'd be hitting these guys. That's not something that you do, that's assault and stuff like that. You're assaulting. You're not supposed to do that. That's crossing a line, and that's not how. If anything, you're pissing him off. He doesn't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to you. If you're doing that, you're just a bully. You're just as bad as the thug, the criminal. You're just as bad as the criminal that you try to get information from. This is not
that
how
might
you do
finally break his silence.
Haddon, what kind of sex do you into? Do you like, when you go out, do you go out with women or do you like to go out with men? Who do you prefer? I mean, if we went out on a date, would you be wearing women's clothes or would you be wearing women's underwear? Do you like stuff like this?
But slowly, the interrogation room began to spiral out of control.
Haddon. You don't like me sitting near you?
Take off your coat.
I'd love
Hey,
to
get
have
over there and
people
sit
lay
down.
sitting by me, but
Sit down in that goddamn chair and you stay seated. You act like a goddamn man, stop acting like a kid.
you need to act like a man, stop acting like a child, like a law enforcement officer. I mean, these guys should not have been law enforcement in the first place. These are like little children, bullies in the playground. I remember kids acting like this in grade school, junior high, even some, in high school sometimes that, a bit behind, developmentally. But you want to get answers. You want them to feel comfortable enough to talk, spill the beans. This is what you don't do. They definitely crossed the law of life.
After exhausting every tactic,
They
two
keep
male detectives stepped into the
themselves like they
interrogation room, ready to deliver the bombshell. Haddon Clark was being charged with the murder of Laura Houtling. It was a calculated move, the detectives' final card to regain control over the situation. Over the course of their tense 3-hour questioning, they'd noticed something strange. Haddon had an intense aversion to being touched. They decided to exploit this weakness, hoping to provoke a reaction. But what started as a subtle psychological maneuver.
This is one thing I don't like about these law enforcement channels, is that they don't call out the bad, stuff that some of the law enforcement officers do. They don't call it out whatsoever. They're just shills based. And me, I either call out the good, bad on either side. I've done a lot of these, but
quickly escalated into chaos, transforming the room into an unpredictable battleground of madness as the detectives pushed Haddon to the brink of his already disturbed mind.
First of all, you're being charged with murder.
You have to pat me like that? Hit me? I'm not hitting you, I'm sorry. I just like to be friendly. Okay? Why don't you just sit over there? No.
that's not being, you're like getting sexual. It's like being very sexual. That's also like being, sexual too. And it's like, it doesn't matter if he has other personalities in him. It doesn't matter if he is bi or not. It's just when another guy or woman forces themselves on somebody like that, it's like, I didn't ask you to do that. It's like, what the fuck? And it's like, if they would have gotten hit by this guy, they would have deserved it. They would have.
Someone that's good. You want to smoke? Can I sit over here? No, we're going to sit together. Can I sit over here? You and I are going to be friends.
Listen, he may be a bad SOB, but there's a right way, wrong way of doing things. And because they're doing things the wrong way, all this stuff gets thrown out in court. Because they crossed several constitutional lines. Including what they're doing is also assault and battery in a lot of ways. For any other person on the street, this is assault, battery, stuff like that. So.
That's good. Hey, buddy. That's a nice job. You know, like,
love,
yes.
You touch him right here on his downloads. What the fuck?
Jackie ladies.
When
What
getting him mad or
sickos?
embarrassed didn't work, the detectives resorted to
Yeah.
another tactic, trying to convince Haddon
Like
that his
kids.
only option was to confess because he wasn't mentally sane. By framing the situation this way, the detectives were hoping to either guilt
I don't like to be, from a psychology point of view, they already said that he was mentally insane. They already said, with him being schizophrenic and stuff. That's already there, the mentally insane part, that they could argue in court. How they're doing this, this is a public defendant's and a lawyer's wet dream, in a way. You know why? Because they know this is getting thrown out. They crossed the line on his, even if he deserves it, and if he is a piece of shit. Not everybody is guilty. Not everybody is bad. You can't judge everybody the same way and stuff, this is not how you do it. They should have never had a badge. These are juvenile delinquent cops. Delinquents. Thugs.
Haddon into admitting the crimes, or at the very least, get him to acknowledge his own distorted mental state.
Nobody holds this against him. Everybody realizes that you got a psycho.
You do not poke the bear. Do not poke the bear. It's somebody that has mental illness. Don't start shit. This guy can fly off the handle, do crazy shit on him. It doesn't matter if they have a gun or not. They're inviting a fight. They're inviting catastrophe. I know for me, I would have blown up. It would have been over fast. It would have been over fast. It would have been so like me. I wouldn't tolerate that, no matter which side, but, yeah, especially so with mental illness. Don't landmine. Do not trip the wire. And they're lucky that he didn't flip.
You're sick. Yeah, you were sick. And if I can show that you murdered this girl, you're going to do it.
I've been in jail. I've seen people flip. And they just go off like a firecracker. I've seen people flip. And it's like, it's on you. It's their fault. If cops do that, it's their fault. You have to know when to give people space. And invite them to talk. Give them that cushion. Give them that safe space to give them a chance to talk. And that's why nowadays they sometimes give food, candy, water, or Coke, or whatever. And there's people that don't deserve shit. There's some trash people that real violent people, you can say he's one of them, but this is not the way you do it with him in this case. There are plenty of people that don't deserve anything, where I would give them water or anything. Of course, that's why not law enforcement or anything, but...
If I understand what you're saying, okay? You understand 2 murders, Mistress doing murder, me across the road in Penny's house, you saw you dressed up like a woman. The trench coat. Who was it that walked out of the house? Is there any other? Just think of the name. To be nice. But that person we heard
I think you need to be nice.
That's somebody else in Haiti. They go in the house at night, they go in the door and sneak up to the bedroom with a knife. Yeah. They sneak up there with a knife.
I mean, in other countries you call this torture, right? This is what you call torture. Even if the guy is guilty, this is what you call torture in other countries and stuff.
Laura was in there sleeping. She was beautiful. And that person got on top of Laura and started got a pillow and put it on Laura.
If they're making up stories to try to get him to blow, and what they're doing is feeding him stories to get him to blow, for him to spill the beans. And totally wrong.
Got a knife out, started cutting. It's an awful thing. It's an awful thing to think of, but we have to get it out of you. It's the only way. I think it's almost out. Bring it out. What did that person do with Laura? What do you think, Aiden? How you feel?
They're making this to a joke. They're laughing. Did you guys see that where they're laughing about this? They're making this into a farce. And they're laughing and joking like it's like playground politics. It's like being in a playground, school, in a sandbox. Friends joking around with each other. That these guys are still cops today or whatever is disgusting and sickening. Nobody should have a badge like that.
Come on. Hey, come on, let's get it out, buddy.
That's gonna help, yeah.
Come on, Pete. Let's get it out. Come on, there's somebody in there that wants to come out. Please come out. I will kill you. You understand?
I will kill you, yeah. Listen, some really crazy killers, alright? You do that to them, it's like they don't care if you kill them. You're doing them a favor. You do that to them, you kill them, it's like, I deserve it, it's coming anyway, so what does it matter if you kill me? That's what he's probably thinking. You know, it's like, I'm not going to say they do it. See?
Come on, bring it out. Okay, let's drink your Coke. Drink your Coke and let's go. You didn't Jeffrey down the road.
Yeah, drink your Coke while you're getting choked.
What's your favorite movie? Silence of the Lambs?
Despite their relentless efforts, Haddon refused to divulge any information, leaving the interrogation unresolved. Ultimately, the dramatic session came to an end, and Haddon was taken into custody. The detectives later faced significant criticism for their unorthodox methods, but they stood their ground. They argued that
they should have had criminal negligence charges. Just thugs. What they did is criminal. They're criminals, what they did. Not only that, but you did get a confession. And if you had done things the right way, things could have gone a lot better, or else you could have waited for evidence to come out later. Sometimes you have to wait and be patient.
Had taken the moral high ground, and that Haddon hadn't been fooled, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he was cunning and manipulative, using silence as his weapon to avoid revealing the truth. For the next 8 months, Haddon Clark remained in detention.
He didn't do anything. That's the thing, is that the joke was on the interrogators, those cops. They fell into a trap, and they don't have the intelligence to do the job that they're hired to do. They should have never had that job. They should have never had a badge. Because they don't have the mentality to do it. They fell into the trap. They manipulated themselves. And they went ape over it. They started acting like chimpanzees, monkeys in a way. That weren't getting what they want, they just went crazy. And if people see how monkeys go crazy and they don't get what they want, that's what happened here. Look it up.
While the Montgomery County prosecutors prepared for a high-stakes trial, despite extensive police searches across 3 states, Laura's body was still missing.
Yep.
With no body, no witnesses, and no confession, the case hinged on circumstantial evidence, 2 key pieces, a synthetic hair strand and Haddon's fingerprint on the pillowcase. The lack of concrete evidence weighed heavily on everyone, particularly Laura's
Well, it's like I said, this is a public defender's lawyer's wet dream. When you do that to a defendant, they're going to say what they did, what the cops did is criminal. And just about any judge is going to throw everything out. Because the fingerprint and that hair could be circumstantial. He was the gardener. And how the public defendant or the lawyer, what they could say is, well, of course his fingerprints are being in there. Maybe his dresser or whatever. But he's the gardener. She gave him the key. So it is a little far-fetched. He was allowed in there. He didn't have to force his way. He had the key to get in and out of the place. That fiber, wonder, hey, maybe she had a wig we don't know about. Maybe she had a wig she's using. See how they can flip it? The defense can flip it. And the judge and the jury's going to say, well, judge is going to like get to trial probably. Because these interrogators really fucked up. This is not how you circus run by monkeys.
Family and friends who feared the worst. If the prosecutors failed to secure a conviction, Haddon could be acquitted, and even if Laura's body were eventually discovered, the Fifth Amendment would prevent him from being tried again for the same crime.
Yeah, no person shall be tried again, because in other countries, we got this because in England, in Europe specifically, why they did that, our founding fathers made the Constitution, is stuff would get made up later on. There'd be corrupt prosecutors, or people would be paid money to lie on a stand in places like England, Europe. And if a person got off at first of a capital punishment like murder or stealing or whatever, over there in UK, Europe, you could be tried again over and over again. Our forefathers made this. Number 5. To safeguard us from corruption of prosecution. Because it is well known that people do get paid by corrupt officials to try and get people into jail, to have them jailed for different reasons when they're innocent. This is why we have that in the Constitution.
However, in a dramatic twist, just before the scheduled trial date in June 1993, Haddon Clark stunned everyone by changing his mind.
The defendant in the Hodling case just pled guilty. The plea was accepted.
This is the thing. He didn't have to. I wonder what changed his mind. Is something. Where do you get into that? Where do you get into that?
The plea was to second-degree murder.
As part of the plea bargain, Haddon revealed the chilling reasons behind his actions. In his twisted mind, he had come to view Laura's mother, Penny, as a mother figure, and he harbored some strange and bizarre feelings for her.
I love Penny. She offered me donuts, drink. One time when Laura and Penny were up in Massachusetts going to Penny's house, down one of Penny's nights. I slept in Penny's room. We came down Penny's night and ate breakfast. And then when Laura came into the picture, a lot of that stuff stopped.
So in his mind, she really had to go. He really didn't like her. He wanted to be her. Laura really needed to be punished for just being Laura.
Haddon's resentment toward Laura had started to simmer long before the murder, but it was the argument with Penny just days before that added fuel to the fire. The tension between Haddon and Penny had been building, and when she told him she would be leaving town that weekend, it gave him the perfect opportunity to carry out his twisted plan. Just after midnight on October 19th, 1992, Haddon set his plan into motion.
So I walk around to the barn. I knew where the key to the house was. I walk in the front door. Yeah, I have a dress on, too. I'm dressed up real nice. I have a dress on. Took the gun out of the box in the living room, walked up to her bedroom, put the gun next to her head. I cocked the gun. I was like, I'm serious. You move, I shoot. I had handcuffs this time. And after I handcuffed her, I tied her with the rope I had. I made her look at me. I told her, you know my name. My first name starts with an L. And my last name starts with an H. You know my name. You don't call me by my right name and I'll kill you.
Haddon's actions that night were chilling in their cruel.
And if she would have done it, I doubt it would have mattered. I bet she did, and he just killed her anyway, because that's the kind of piece of shit that he is.
And disturbing in their details. Holding a gun on Laura, he covered her mouth with duct tape, suffocating her in the process. As she lay lifeless, Haddon began to remove the tape from her face with a pair of scissors. In his excitement, his hand slipped, and the sharp shears pierced Laura's neck, causing blood to spill onto the sheets and pillowcase. Obsessed with the idea of taking a souvenir, he severed one of her ears while attempting to remove an earring. After this gruesome act, Haddon sat by her body, watching it for nearly an hour, consumed by his twisted satisfaction. At around 3 a.m., he wrapped Laura's body in a queen-sized sheet, slung it over his shoulder, and hid it beneath the cap of his truck bed. Then he returned to the scene of the crime, collected the bloody bedding, and disposed of those in a remote wooded area. Once the evidence was discarded, Haddon returned to the house, changed his crime, and went to sleep. The next morning, he dressed as a woman, donning wigs to further fuel his disturbed fantasies. In an eerie final detail, he used Laura's comb to brush the wig, leaving behind a single synthetic hair strand that would eventually become the key piece of evidence linking him to the murder. The confession was shocking, but Haddon had one final revelation to make as per his plea deal.
Haddon Clark and his attorney would take one of the assistant state's attorneys out and show them where Laura Hodling was buried.
Laura's decomposed body was located in a shallow grave in a wooded area near a highway exit ramp in Rockville, just outside Bethesda.
The fact that it led to Laura's body was a really good thing for her mother, her brother, and the rest of us.
A Harvard graduate's body was found last night, buried in a shallow grave in North Bethesda.
I remember thinking I'm glad that her mother can bury her, but nothing felt good about it. I never felt any relief from anything.
In June 1993, Haddon Clark was sentenced to 30 years in prison for Laura's murder. Although everyone believed that Haddon's saga had come to a close, with him now confined behind prison bars, it quickly became clear that his story was far from over. He would continue to make waves even within the confines of his cell. In 1999, Jack Truitt, a convicted murderer, found himself sharing a cell with Haddon Clark at the Eastern Correctional Institution in Westover, Maryland. What Truitt didn't anticipate was the depth of madness and the disturbing secrets he would uncover during their time together. Among Haddon's...
It's actually... I'm actually a bit surprised he'd get killed in prison. It must have had him in a safe, pocketed place. I'm surprised he'd get killed. We're going to get into that freaky picture in this.
Unsettling behaviors, one that particularly disgusted Truitt was his habit of hoarding
Disgusting another murderer. Ain't that something? Like I said, I'm surprised he'd get killed by his cellie there or somebody else.
food, allowing it to rot, and then consuming it days later.
Usually you get
However,
killed. You piss off your cellie like that, they do kill you. They will beat you up or something. You do that. It's surprising.
Nerved Truitt the most was when Haddon began confessing his crimes to him, believing that Truitt was Jesus Christ.
He really believes that I'm Jesus Christ. He had to confess to me that he killed someone in every state in the United States.
Eager to escape Haddon's delusional ramblings, Truitt devised a suggestion that would ultimately unveil a shocking new chapter in Haddon's twisted life.
Whatever you're saying, just write it down. When you feel like you need to tell me something, draw it, write it. Don't talk to me about it. And he said, okay. And that's when he started, man. He was just going crazy right down. Haddon's art was so creepy.
All these pictures that he drew were crime scenes.
He would draw clues to other people he killed.
Initially uninterested in Haddon's bizarre and horrifying confessions, Truitt became curious when Haddon mentioned Michelle Dorr's murder. Although authorities had always suspected him, they never had enough evidence to charge him with the crime. Truitt realized that if he could get Haddon to reveal critical information, he might use it to negotiate with authorities for a reduced sentence. After some persuasion, his plan succeeded, and Haddon agreed to talk to the detectives in Truitt's presence.
Back in the 60s and 70s, I was responsible for bringing cannabis to the shore, and I'm kind of proud of it.
Jack told me that Haddon had murdered Michelle Dorr and buried her in a park in Montgomery County, Maryland. I then request one of the correctional officers to bring Haddon Clark into the room. I introduced myself to him and said, I understand that you'd like to talk to me, but as long as he stays, looking at Jack. I said, well, he can stay.
Haddon went on to explain that on the fateful day of May 31st, 1986, he was furious with his brother for kicking him out. Tragically, the consequences of his anger fell on innocent Michelle, who had wandered over to the Clark house to meet her friend Elizabeth, Jeffrey's daughter. Haddon claimed that the moment he opened the door and saw the little girl, he knew he wanted to kill her.
Michelle came to the house. He said that Elizabeth was upstairs playing in the bedroom and she could go on up. Since he was a chef, he had these knives, and that's when he went upstairs and confronted Michelle. And he killed her in Elizabeth's bedroom.
Just did yourself.
Haddon threw the little girl to the floor and was on her so quickly that she didn't have a chance to scream. He continued his brutal attack until she was dead. After killing Michelle, Haddon meticulously cleaned up the blood, placed her body in a plastic bag, and then concealed it inside a duffel bag. He then put the bag in the back of his truck and went to work as if nothing had happened. Following his shift, Haddon drove to a wooded area in Maryland where he buried Michelle's body. Disturbingly, he also claimed that before burying her remains, he had cannibalized parts of her flesh. With Michelle's tragic last moments now pieced together, detectives finally had enough evidence to secure a conviction against Haddon. He was sentenced to an additional 30 years for Michelle's murder. For his role in uncovering the truth and helping bring justice, Jack Truitt was later released on parole. However, despite everything, Haddon continued to withhold the exact location of Michelle's remains. In January 2000, Haddon had a change of heart and led authorities to a wooded ravine near Route 29 in Silver Spring, Maryland, where he had buried Michelle.
I was just standing about 20 yards from him, and I looked down and I saw, it looked like a twig at first, and focused in on it. It was a spring.
After digging for a bit, a pink piece of fabric that popped right out of the ground.
We knew we had found Michelle Dorr.
Everyone wept.
After 14 years, Carl Dorr was finally able to lay his daughter to rest in peace.
It was good to have a place to
I
finally
had tears earlier.
bury Michelle. I'm just so sorry she was at the wrong place at the wrong time and she met Haddon Clark.
However, this saga was far from over. Haddon began making even more disturbing claims, stating that it was not he himself but Kristen, his female and more dominant persona, who was responsible for the murders.
That's me. That's me. Okay, that's Kristen. What did you sign for name on that? Kristen.
One of his favorite names to refer to himself as was Kristen E. Bluefin.
That's not a real name. Kristen. Now you go to one of this, okay. Kristen exists. Kristen.
Although detectives suspected that Kristen was merely another shield to avoid responsibility for his crimes and seek attention, Haddon insisted that the name was deeply tied to his traumatic and dysfunctional childhood and the way it had shaped his twisted mind.
I saw your mom, she called you bad names.
My brothers and sisters called their friends. I was raised like a girl anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Why did they raise you like a girl?
Sometimes my parents would use that as a punish. Instead of getting kids to go with me, they had me wear a dress for school.
Haddon's claims about his childhood were particularly chilling, as they reflected a deeply skewed sense of reality that extended beyond just himself. His elder brother, Bradfield Clark, had been convicted in 1985 for killing and dismembering a female co-worker in California, with reports suggesting he had eaten parts of her corpse. As if this wasn't unsettling enough, detectives began to grow increasingly concerned about Haddon's other claims. He began leaving cryptic clues that hinted that Laura and Michelle might not have been his only victims, suggesting that there were many more.
Well, some things I wouldn't change, but the bad things I did, the murders I did, well, I did is wrong. I know that. You didn't ask me about Laura Benson or Mary Pine. It's Bonnie Beckett, good wiser.
What does that mean?
Michelle Dorr, Silver Spring, Maryland. Laura Holding, Augusta, Maryland. Maureen Benson, Wallingford, Connecticut. Mary Mott, New Canaan, Connecticut. Sarah Fryer, Wayland, Massachusetts. Bonnie Beckett, Wiser, Brooklyn, New York.
How do you know their names so well and where they're from?
I get to know their areas. I've been all over the United States. I remember certain instances because I was in the area.
Haddon, who are all these women you just brought up, these names? Who are they? How do you know them?
Wait, someone's at my door. Hey, I gotta go.
Detectives were left uncertain whether Haddon was merely toying with them for amusement.
If I was doing that, I was to tell that corrections guy to stop. You know. That's the worst time corrections guard comes in. Get the inmate. Worst time.
Or if he was genuinely providing clues about his gruesome crimes. Regardless, they were prepared to take the risk. As the investigation progressed, the FBI took a keen interest in the case. In April 2000, Haddon Clark agreed to guide a team of FBI agents to Cape Cod, where he claimed there were more victims buried beneath the sandy soil. However, his cooperation came with a peculiar demand.
Kristen was the one killing these people, so he had to be Kristen if he was going to take us back to those burial sites.
He would not go out unless he had on a lady's bra and panties, so we bought them for him. And he put them on. He put on a wig, too. And then he had the undergarments underneath.
He put a wig on and, that they'd put him in a woman's shirt in an attempt to try to, get him to cooperate a little more.
Despite the FBI's efforts, the search in Cape Cod yielded no evidence of additional victims. However, in December of that same year, Haddon directed investigators to his grandfather's estate, leading to a shocking discovery.
Right about here, there was about a 3 foot by maybe 3 or 4 foot old trailer, kind of a tag along that you'd hook onto the back of your yard tractor. And underneath was just sand. Trooper Barrett had a metal prod, almost like a big long stick. She took that bar and put it down into the earth, and we heard this boom, made the hair stand up on the back of everybody's neck. And we knew that there was definitely something there. So we were able to dig down and unearth that, and it was a plastic 5-gallon bucket. We weren't quite sure what we were going to find, what perhaps some type of body parts. I mean, we really didn't know. After taking the top of that off, we observed a number of pieces of jewelry that Haddon said were trophies from different people that he had murdered over the course of his life.
Among the roughly 200 pieces of women's jewelry found at the estate, several items were identified as belonging to Laura Houghteling. However, detectives were unable to link the other pieces to any known victims. Yet, it gave rise to some chilling theories.
I think the idea of Laura Houghteling had a trophy in that bucket. There's reason to believe that some of those others, if not all, were attached to actual human beings.
The FBI behavioral science estimated that he had perhaps killed somewhere between 12 and 22 people, and part of the reason that they were able to conclude that was because he was so comfortable around death.
Although Haddon Clark may not have garnered the same level of notoriety as infamous killers like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, his crimes were no less haunting. It seemed that wherever Haddon went, death followed. While we may never know the full extent of his actions, there's no denying that he is one of the most evil souls to ever walk this earth.
Jesus loves the little, Jesus loves the little children.
Remains a dangerous threat to society.
I thought about him getting out. Occasionally I run his name through the prison system just to see where he's at.
We knew.
I explained this, is that they said he was up for parole. He ain't getting out. They're not going to allow him out. They don't allow people like him out. They're not.
That if he got out of jail, he would kill again.
Yeah.
Nobody would be safe.
I don't think he can help himself. Anybody that crosses his path, his instinct is to lash out.
Look, my hope is that any sane parole board does the right thing for the community, and that Haddon never has release, even at a very old age.
And who better to vouch for this than the people who have directly suffered from his actions?
It's good to see her again, like this, smiling and living life. If it wasn't for Haddon Clark, she'd be here.
It's breathtaking to think about this one man's illness, sickness, and vile, horrible mind. How, his actions have just created ripples through.
The thing is, you got to think about this also from a psychological thing, where it has to do with his upbringing, supposedly, as well. What caused this? What was the causes and the effects from what could have been childhood trauma and stuff like that. You're to get the answer to why he turned out the way he did, supposedly. We never heard evidence about, his mother, father, other brother. We didn't hear what his other brother had to say about the abuse. Just that his other brother turned killer as well. So stuff runs in the family, maybe. So, anyways, that's good. I think that's gonna do it for me. Leave a like, leave a comment, and tell me what you think. Hey, wait, actually, hold on. There is. I almost forgot. It's late. But I think I'll let me see. I want to get here. Why not? Let me see. I have to get to the right one. Yeah. There it is.
Good evening. It is closed due to its high operating costs, but tonight President Donald Trump says he has new plans for one of the Bay Area's most notorious historical landmarks, Alcatraz Island.
The president says he is directing his administration to reopen and expand the prison, and once it's rebuilt, he wants to send the nation's most violent offenders there. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favre reports from.
there's a lot of ghosts that are still there that inhabit Alcatraz. There's still murderers and killers and people on that island right now. That's going to be something. Reopening that. That's insanity. That's insanity. Because you have all those other killers that are long past and dead. Their ghosts are still there and inhabit that island. I mean, they've had lots of different ghost hunters there. And they've heard voices from these killers or burglars or people